Sorry, do you mind?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So, 2006, Africa's aviation contribution to the world was 2.3% in 2006. How many people were in aviation in 2006? 2020, it was 2 point something percent. Do you know what the number?
1.8.
2020, it was 1.8%. 2023, 2.1%. What's the story? We're not growing. Why are we not growing? We're not flying. The DG said. Why are we not flying? We don't have SAATM. We're not free. Next slide. Let's move on very quickly now, just to set the scene, and then we go through quickly. So we said already, 2.6, 2.3, 2.5% this contribution of Africa to international, global aviation. And then the African Airlines' own contribution. You can see, this is the pie. Look at the green. The whole other world is eating this pie. And Africa, the whole 54 countries of us, has only this 2.1%. That is the story. And that is also the opportunity. Now, in terms of profits, the airline people are here. They can talk about it. But apparently, in the world, not much profit in the airline business, but minus 2%. Africa's losses are double the world's losses. That's what this picture is telling us. So we have a situation. Number one, we're not growing because we're not flying, because we're not free. Number two, we're not making money. So how do we make money? Fly. Grow. Volume. Aviation is a volume business. The more you fly, the more passengers you carry, the more economies of scale you build, the more this picture changes. Let's change to the next slide, please. So now I'm going to go to it. We've heard about Agenda 2063. The flagship projects are all about Africa's regional integration. How do we connect each other better? So these are them. The one in the middle is the SAATM you've heard about, Single African Air Transport Market. Then you have African Continental Free Trade Area. Then you have free movement of people and African passport. Our sisters are here from the AU and the AFCATA. They're going to speak to us about these two. But the first that was launched was SAATM, because this is the key. It is the fundamental, is the foundation for everything else. There are many other projects, but the first one launched by Africans, heads of state, is SAATM. Next. So what does this mean? And why SAATM? SAATM is, I'm not going to ask an exam question, I'll just tell the answer. SAATM is the pathway towards implementing the YD. The YD is the Yamoussoukro decision. So that's the framework agreement that covers how states and airlines interact between themselves in terms of aviation activity. The first element of YD is to establish a liberalized intra-African market. That's the first issue. And it covers specific things. Number one, access to the market access. Number two, the traffic rise and the frequencies and capacity, so how many aircraft can I bring? How many times can I come? How many seats do the aircraft have to have? Those are the issues there. And then the regulated pricing. That is the simple thing about this YD. But the other simple thing about it is that it gives the key word for the day, freedom. The Yamoussoukro decision governs the freedoms of the air. The freedom that I can come to your country. How free am I to come to your country? That is what YD is about. So what degree of freedom do I have? We have First and second, I fly into a country, you know, I do some checks here and there and blah, blah, blah. I fuel. Third and fourth means that I leave Banjul on an aircraft. I come to Freetown. That airline picks me up and drops me there. That's it. That's third and fourth. So city to city, what you call direct flights. Then the fifth freedom is the one that allows that airline to go from that first city, take passengers, drop passengers there, pick up passengers and goods there, go to another one, and then come back. This is the magic for Africa. This fifth freedom thing, this YD. When we were coming, we left Dakar. We had X number of passengers on the flight. We got to Banjul. We saw a truckload of passengers coming onto the same plane. By the time we came to Freetown, the plane was 80% full. We left Dakar, it was 40% full. Because the airline was able to mop up traffic through another stop. That is the magic of fifth freedom and YD for Africa. And why is it so important for Africa? Because we are bigger than we look. The map is not the truth. The truth is that Africa is huge. We can't just walk. I know they would like us to sometime, but we cannot do it. We can't drive also. We do, but it takes weeks. I was talking to somebody who told me, I used this example somewhere. There is a big business between Eswatini and Nigeria. Eswatini supplies Nigeria molasses for fertilizers. Do you know how long it takes the trucks to drive to get to Nigeria? 28 days. 28 days! What can you say? 1 month on the road. And do you know what they face on that road? On that journey? Not about just the hazard, not just about the bad roads, the stops, customs, police, check stop, all the 28 days of that. But just imagine a big cargo freighter can carry those same molasses that 10 trucks from Eswatini take 28 days to go to Nigeria. Just from one place to the other. That's what aviation does. So this is the magic of YD, and that's where we're pushing. And the SAATM is the accelerator of the YD implementation. So next, now we're going to run through. I heard from the Chief Minister that they like numbers here, so I'm very happy because we came with some numbers. Look at the growth. This is the dynamism. From 2023, the 5-year projection of the total volume of seats, the number of seats, is expected to reach 135 million versus 102 in 2023. So increased by 33 million seats in 5 years. That's a big deal. Just think about 30, just take a portion of that coming back to Sierra Leone. They're passing through this wonderful airport. What is the benefit? They're going to come into this wonderful place, in this wonderful country. What would be the benefits? Just take a portion of the 33 million. So this is the growth, the expected growth. Next slide is going to show now, expected to multiply by 3. So the fifth freedom, that magic I mentioned, is expected to multiply by 3 with another 5.3 million seats by 2027. Twice the market growth. That's the magic of the fifth freedom, of the YD. And we've seen it already. We'll show you some numbers. In 1 year already, we've seen the progress and the difference that fifth freedom makes. It's not all about the fifth, because the whole point about SAATM is a better connected Africa. So it's about connectivity in general. But the YD is a short to medium term accelerator of the growth and the connectivity because of the fifth freedom. Next slide. So then from 3 to 5 million seats, right, on the fifth freedom again, for commercial passengers. And this is a real achievement, or will be. If these 5 billion rights are granted, if we realize this in the next 5 years only, just 5 years, this is how we're measuring ourselves. When we started in 2022, we said, what can we do between now and 2025? And from 2025, what are we going to achieve by 2027? That's how we're measuring ourselves in 3-year cycles. So, this is even 5 years, extra 2 years. What can we do in that time? Next slide. So, BAG. This wonderful group of countries who have already done, you're already ahead of the curve. You're already ahead of most of Africa. You've already signed a MASA. So this is the Banjul Accord Group. What has been achieved in the Banjul Accord Group amongst these 7 countries? Let's start with safety and security. You have Bagasso, you have Bagaya. Under Bagasso and Bagaya, Bagasso is what? Who can tell me? Not the name, but what do they do? Safety. Right? Bagaya is what? Accident investigations, so still on safety. Very good. So they have these 2 organizations that function so effectively. Harmonization of policies and procedures on safety achieved already in BAG. Development of aviation through cooperative arrangements achieved already. You have them. We even have in this group, in this region, something called the ECOWAS Treaty, which covers free movement of people, goods, and services. Achieved. Now let's go to the air transport side. Harmonization of YD and SAATM regulatory texts, not yet achieved. Harmonization of air transport policies, mainly using the African civil aviation policy, not yet completely achieved. Harmonization of economic regulation, not yet there. Harmonization of the cost of aviation in the regulatory framework for that cost, not yet there. This is the missing piece for BAG. This is the missing piece for ECOWAS. This is the missing piece for Africa. Let's move. So, Sierra Leone and the BAG. Sierra Leone, African population 1.4 billion. ECOWAS population 435 billion. BAG 287 billion. GDP, African GDP 285 billion. ECOWAS 687 billion. BAG 242 billion. Again, what is the story here? The more we fly, the more GDP we will have. Let's move. So the BAG group, this is the picture now of the BAG. We have 7 countries there. Out of those 7 countries, it's 18 million people. Passenger traffic to and from the BAG groups in 2023 was 18 million passengers within the 7 states. Within those 7 states, there are 96 airports. 96, most of them underutilized. Most of the runways facilities underutilized. Then we have 22 airlines over the group, in this group, operating, that is, not that they, that they have them in the countries, but operating, and over 32 in the ECOWAS region. So again, great opportunity. How am I doing for time? Octavio, am I okay? Okay. 20. Okay. Yes, go on, please. So the number of direct flights from BAG countries in 2023, we can see we have other parts of Africa. So from the beginning, we're showing the countries that have the highest intra-African connectivity, meaning the highest number of direct flights from their hubs. Ethiopia is number 1, South Africa there, Morocco 3, Kenya 4. Then we start with the BAG countries, the orange. Nigeria 5, sorry, who was it? Ghana? Is that Ghana? Ghana. Sorry? Ghana. Next? Guinea, Sierra Leone, Gambia, Liberia, Cabo Verde. Then we have other states. So this is what the picture looks like. The countries that have the highest number of direct flights. Again, the opportunities are there. We're already doing well in the back states. We can increase it amongst ourselves. And what is a direct flight? And what is an international flight? You know, an international flight is a flight from one city to another city in another country. So intra-African flights are international flights. So that 2% global can be even improved with increase of intra-African traffic because it's international too. It can be improved with increase in intra-bag traffic. Next. All right. So 2023, passenger numbers and passenger revenues between the bag states, right? So we 9,643,000 passengers or so carried. The revenues from that, 895 million roughly on average. It shows the destinations and the cities and so on, the flights. This is 2017. Go back to 2017. We have 6 million or so passengers, and then we have 500 and something revenue. So again, the story, what is the story telling us? It's open to many interpretations, right? But the key thing is, yes, there's a little growth, but it can be much better if we have more flights connecting between those cities. 2017 to 2023, a 5 or 6 year span. Next slide. Now let's look at the bad countries in terms of certain parameters that are relevant and necessary for the SAATM. The first is the number of airlines. IOSA is a key safety standard for airlines, and it's run by IATA. So if you have an IOSA, you are kind of safe because IOSA is an organizational-wide audit, just as you have the ICAO audits for safety and security. So this is the number of IOSA airlines either registered in the country or operating in the country. So we have the list there. The DG, some of you are here, you can tell me if we're wrong or not, if we need to update the numbers. Sierra Leone has 8, and we heard it from the Chief Minister, 8 airlines who are operating here, and they're all IOSA. Okay? Now we look again at the safety mark, okay? And again, as AFCAC, we are supporting our states in these areas. We're trying to make sure that all states in Africa have a minimum safety of 60%, which is the global minimum. So look at Sierra Leone, 72. We heard it. It's like magic, but it's not, because they worked hard and they were determined and dedicated to moving it forward. Concrete measures, meaning all the administrative stuff for SAATM, most of them are there. Sierra Leone, 80%. Have you seen, MOI is the Memorandum of Implementation that says that we agree to move forward with accelerating SAATM. They're there. Travel and tourism, unfortunately we can't see what that number looks like. Can you tell me what it is, please? In terms of the contribution now of travel and tourism to GDP, Cabo Verde is 37%. Do you know what this means? 37% of the country's GDP is from travel and tourism. It means that it is 1/4 of their whole industry. That is how important it is. And why not? Because Cabo Verde is in the ocean. So what will happen there? If not travel and tourism, because that is what people are going there. So that is the key for them. 37%. Some other countries, we can increase those numbers. Gambia, 17.6%. That is correct. Tourism is a mainstay. Ghana is 5%, because Ghana has oil. So travel and tourism is not that much, but it's still, 5% is still a big number. Guinea, 4%. For that country, it's still a big number. Liberia will get the details from you. We couldn't get the data, but we'll get that. Nigeria, 4.5%. 4.5% is also a big number for Nigeria. Big population, lots of other industries and so on. And then Sierra Leone, 4%. 4%. That's a big number, but we can increase that number. if you increase this number by 1% only, the quantum multiplier effect on GDP, on revenue, on foreign exchange, all of these things, it just happens. So it's really important. Next. Now we talk about access. So the first part I've discussed with you is about access to air transport. This second little bit is about affordability. We have a population of 1.45 billion people, and less than 12-15% are flying by air. We want to have more Africans flying by air. You know what, guys? It may surprise you to know. In other parts of the world that are similar to us, in China, in India, you have many parts, majority of population are blue-collar workers. They fly to work. They fly to work. Aviation is not for the rich people. These blue-collar people, they are flying to work, just as they are taking the train, because they have those as alternative forms of transportation in their domestic market. We fly to work. In Nigeria, people are flying to work. No, right? Yes. People are flying to work. It's supposed to be mass transportation. So in Latin America, it's similar. China is similar. We should be doing the same. It should be accessible and affordable. So here we are in Africa. We are the most expensive in the world. You can see the others. Middle East, Latin America, Asia Pacific, Europe, North Africa. Next, we have the regions also broken down. And we have it here, the costs are there. North Africa, the most affordable, and Southern Africa in terms of overall cost of aviation. And we see what the numbers are saying in this window, in this case. Next. So, that is an issue. We're not free enough. It's an issue. We're not free enough because either governments are not putting it in the center of strategic development, or governments are being protectionist. Let us keep our markets. The ambassador said so. Nobody is coming to eat your food. And in Africa, we share our food anyway, right? We share. The food is sweeter and better when we share. So you don't have to hold on to it and cover your plate. We have to share. Otherwise, the food, it just will not go around. Then, low level of YD compliance. We're not free enough. The regulatory environment, it has to be positive. It has to support YD and growth. The issue of costs and fees is all over the place. There's maintenance costs, there's insurance costs. It's more expensive for African airlines. Insurance premiums are higher. So many things. Costs generally are higher. Then the low level of effective implementation. Thankfully, we know that that is changing and we're working towards that. And then the infrastructural elements. So in the bad states, there are many things that you're already doing well. But there are other things that we can improve upon, and that's why we're here together. Next, please. We also, those non-physical barriers, we want to get rid of them. So, one country writes to another country, please, I want my airline to come. I've been designated. And the other country takes 1 year to designate, or 6 months, or says, okay, we're going to charge you X amount for coming. These are non-physical barriers. All of these things are non-physical barriers. But I want to talk about the last one. Wow. ECOWAS as a group, and BAG also, we don't have that issue. We can walk, we can move around easily. Nobody's going to ask me for a visa. I can move. I can walk. I live in Senegal today. That's where I'm coming from. I did not have to get a visa, and I did not have to get a work permit. I can live and work. So what it means, take Sierra Leone for example, is that even as you're doing your national development growth plans, people from other parts of Africa can come and support you in this growth. Do you know what the other guys are doing? In Nigeria there's this thing they call Japa. Has anybody heard Japa? Japa means escape. Running on. So people are going to Canada, they're going to all these things, all this immigration, right? We can also Japa in West Africa. And we heard it's possible. Nobody is going to call police for me. So we can help each other. We can support each other. We can work freely in other people's countries. Free movement of people and goods and services. We're wrapping up. I have 5 minutes left. Next slide. So what is the message? Our message to you, our dear government officials, our authorities, our stakeholders, is everybody has a role to play. Number one, what is the role of government, the role of the state? It is access, we talked about that, create the enabling environment, and remove the impediments, and help reduce the overall costs. The second, the airports have a role to play, because that's where the people are coming. That's how you're facilitating this movement of people and goods through, when you give the freedom. The new routes help also. Incentives. Support the airlines as they're coming. Okay, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. It's possible. While still maintaining your developmental costs and understanding what is the situation. Cooperation, facilitation, even between airports. I can support airports in another country. It's possible. And then the ground handling, access, biometrics, just using technology and making things better. The airlines operate more fixed freedom routes. As we talked about the magic soup, we know why it's important. And cooperate amongst yourselves. It doesn't have to be me only. And there's one of the former CEOs, he had a very good saying. He said, 80% of zero is zero. So if I am saying, no, I'm not going to cooperate, I'm not going to cooperate with my brothers and sisters, and then I only have 30%. So, and it's 30% of 2%. So the numbers are not adding up. We need to cooperate more. So, as I wrap up, tourism, transport, trade, they work together. Oh, and that's why we have them in our coalition. And that's what aviation facilitates, all of them. Is that a sign? Okay, I'll continue. What are the achievements of SAATM so far? We started this arrangement, right? This SAATM PIP, this project. We've gone so far now to 7 countries. One of them also had a similar experiment like this, where they invited other countries. So we did it in Angola. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. So we did it in Angola, where we had Portuguese-speaking countries come together, and just like we're doing for BAC. So what are the achievements so far? Very quickly, we have over 60 new intra-African routes as at November 2023. Over 60 new routes. And out of those, 13 at that time were fifth freedom. I know already that we have more. I came on a new one. So that was as at last year, end of last year. We have operational assistance in safety to SAATM member states. We talked about the Sierra Leone example. We have Nigeria, we have other states, Ghana, and so on, Benin. We have fifth freedom traffic capacity increased from 15% in 2019, it should be, to 19% in 2023, and 10% from 2022 to 2023. Development of African template on economic regulation. We talked about that lack of harmonization. We've developed a template. Resolution of different market access issues. Many countries wrote to us and said, we have issues. We wrote to country X and they're not giving us, and we're able to resolve those. Operationalization of the Secretariat of Dispute Settlement, you heard from the ambassador, is up and running. We have certification using IOSA, certification standards, and ESA. We even have a roadmap to address the next generation of aviation professionals and women in aviation. We have an initiative called African Women and Youth in Aviation, loud and proud. Hello, somebody. Our DG is one of the members. She's on the steering group. We are going to bring more women into aviation. We're also going to bring more young people into aviation. Many of the veterans in aviation today, they started young. They left school and they went straight into aviation, and their whole careers were in aviation. We want new people like that, young people. And then of course we continue the advocacy. We're creating awareness, and we continue with publications, with social media, and so on and so forth. So finally, if you remember nothing else, just remember this slide only. What do we want out of this SAATM PIP roadshow? Ambassador said this in a very easy way. Freedom from Freetown. What does freedom from Freetown look like? We want a single intra-bag market. You already have the regulatory framework. Just make it happen. Secondly, we want harmonization across the states for these common policies, and we have the policies. We'll share them with you. Promote new intra-African routes amongst yourselves and create secondary gateways for airlines. Improve your economic oversight. We have the regulation also, we share it with you. Domestication. This is the key message, the key word. Domestication of intra-African flights within the bag. Meaning, create a domestic market. Let it be as if you are flying from Freetown to, I don't know which other city there is. Okay, from Freetown to Banjul. So let's Freetown to Banjul be like Freetown to Bo. That's what domestication means. And of course, seventh freedom, to allow cargo so that we can move the goods across the states. I think that is the last slide. So that Africa can look like this, connected, fully vibrant and red. And as they say in debating, I hope that I've been able to convince you and not confuse you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a slight change to the program. We're going straight to our ministers. Please bring the chairs on set. So in line that we can see that African aviation has got a future, and the future is very, very bright. And here in Freetown, we love you guys, so we're ready to tie you down here until you make the agreement, until you make it happen. Because everyone that can make it happen is here. Everyone that's here. But Abiola said it. So you guys are here until you have your own what's called? Freetown decision. Yes, not only your decision, we want Freetown decision as well. So when ministers are ready, please. Minister of Transport and Aviation, Honorable Minister of Finance, Honorable Minister of Trade, Minister of Tourism, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Minister of Internal Affairs. Honorable Ministers, please give us 2 minutes while we set on the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite our Honourable Ministers and their representatives on the stage. The Honourable Minister of Transport and Aviation, the representative from the Ministry of Finance, the Deputy Minister of Trade, and the Honourable Minister of Internal Affairs. Please take the stage. This panel will be moderated by the representative from AFRA, so we'll also like him to come on stage to moderate the panel. Thank you.
Are you boss? You boss? Una boss?
Yes.
We are bosses. If I put on the page, I'm sorry, the fire and I watch. I'm sorry, the movie, I'm post now. Very important. Very important. You know value in the world. What I will get back, we have to talk.
Yeah, I do.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me on behalf of AFRA to also add my heartfelt appreciation to the government and the people of Sierra Leone, and in particular the Minister of Transport, the DG of the Civil Aviation Authority, and all who has made this event a success. In fact, sitting there and listening to the first session today, I felt there is hope for African air transport.
No, they want to happen.
And I am sure by the end of this panel, we would have reached a point where hard decisions would be made on how we proceed. So, ladies and gentlemen, on your behalf, I would want to welcome our ministers who are here with me, and we would get straight into the discussion. But
I sincerely apologize. We had one of the more important ministers, a very important minister for this panel, the representative of the Ministry of Tourism, Mr. Axel. Please join us on the stage. We will have the turn here. Please join us.
Minister of Tourism, you can take that. I think I can stand. I think I talk better stand. So, honorable ministers and representative of ministries, the whole discussions that we have in today centers around airlines being able to have market access. And for airlines to have market access, it depends on what you as ministers allow airlines to do. But let me set the context right. For airlines, they are commercial businesses, and airlines will go to places where the market exists and where the costs are reasonable and where they think they can make business. It is in that regard that we know as the SG of AFCAC indicated this morning, only 10% of our citizens actually travel by air, and this is small. We want to grow that number. Now, if you see most of the flights that are flying on African continent, we are operating below 70% load factors. We need to increase this. How we can do this is through freedom market access. It is good we heard from the Chief Minister this morning that Sierra Leone is ready, open, and willing to grant access to any airline wanting to come to this market. But, ladies and gentlemen, if Sierra Leone is open and Sierra Leone neighbors are not open, it still doesn't make sense for airlines to operate to Sierra Leone. The reason being, direct flights to Sierra Leone might not give them the desired load factor. So they would need an intermediate point or a point beyond so that they can combine loads. So it makes sense for them to operate their loads. It is always the case that in some cases, you open the market and you're saying, they said when we open, our traffic will grow. We have opened, but the traffic is not growing. There are elements that needs to be addressed to make this possible. So, as ministers of state and representatives of ministers, I would want to know from you, starting from the Minister of Transport, what you intend to do as a minister in Sierra Leone to ensure that we have SAATM fully and effectively implemented in Sierra Leone and has its replica effect on your neighbors.
Thank you for giving me the floor. You know, like my chief minister said this morning, and also being a retired military officer, I think when he gave that instruction that we should not leave this hall without completing or signing the agreement, I think he meant what he said, and as a retired military officer, I consider that as an order. So I will ensure that with your support, then we try to get there. Already for Sierra Leone, we are not really going to start from scratch. Currently, like the SG had already said, I think we had done 80% of the work. So we are left with just 20%. And I can assure you that with the 20% left, and with your support again, and of course, with my indefatigable Director General, I believe we can get there. So it's not insurmountable at all. Also, what we're also looking at, like you rightly said, if Sierra Leone is to implement and the neighbors don't implement the SAATM, it's going to be very challenging. But of course, conferences like this, meetings, our interpersonal relationships will go a long way in trying to convince our neighbors as well for them to come on board and see the reason, so that the 37% of the 37 countries that have already signed, and with the balance 54 in Africa, with the balance that is left out of the 54, we are able to convince them to be able to come on board and then be part of this journey. Also, there are so many advantages. We have to continue to propagate SAATM. I would have to join my ambassador there of SAATM to ensure that we propagate amongst our colleagues. Regulatory functions. These are issues that I would also be engaged in because we know the importance of it, and therefore most of the regulations that have to be domesticated, I will ensure that we go through those as well to be able to domesticate some of those agreements and then put them on board. Even as I speak now, the fifth freedom right that the SG talked about, we are also pushing for that. And I was very pleased during the break, one of the airlines who also wants to participate in that, and then said, look, say thanks to the DG of Liberia, who said, look, you have said it and consider it done. He said he is going to make a phone call. So I'll stop here so far and then allow my colleagues to chip in.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Shall we give the Minister a round of applause? Thank you for that commitment. Let me go to the Ministry of Finance now, because they hold the wallet and they can make a lot of things happen or not happen. You know, SAATM is about creating a level playing field. It's about opening up the market. Oftentimes, and particularly in our region, we saw from this scene-setting presentation done by the SG of AFCAC, the cost within West Africa is quite high. And oftentimes when we come to the finance ministry and say, look, if we reduce taxes, which goes to governments, if we reduce taxes on airlines and passengers, we could increase traffic. Oftentimes the question is, so how do we fill that budgetary hole? Now, but it is always an issue of whether it's the chicken first or the egg. And therefore, it's always a difficult conversation because we are convinced that once you are a competitive destination, and I'm sure my colleague from the tourism ministry will agree, once you're competitive, you attract the visitors. But if you're not competitive, they would not want to come. So as a Ministry of Finance, how amenable are you to making Freetown and Sierra Leone, for that matter, the most competitive destination in West Africa?
Thank you very much. Our protocols observed. Apologies on behalf of the Minister, who was supposed to be here to take part in this panel discussion. But unfortunately, because of another state engagement, is not here. And even the two deputies are out of the jurisdiction, including my financial secretary. So the lot fall for me this morning as a principal deputy financial secretary to represent the Minister of Finance in this panel discussion. Not because of anything, but because of the importance that we attach to this exercise, this project. Perhaps I will start with the mandate of the Minister of Finance. Then you see Minister of Finance clearly in this project. The Minister of Finance, as an arm of government, is actually mandated to formulate and implement sound economic policies and public financial management, ensuring allocation of public funds to promote economic development and growth in the context of macroeconomic environment. And that macroeconomic environment is what, during the last presentation, we spoke about creating the enabling environment. Over the period, Minister of Finance believe in competition because we believe it's only by competition that even what we're talking about prices will be able to come down. And she referred to reduction in cost. The way that cost can be reduced is also contingent on what we say enabling environment. Ministry of Finance, we want to raise resources to support economic growth. So any project that is in line with that one, that is what we will give. It's disheartening to see, even within the ECWA subject, we talk about trade movements, goods, services, but we are not seeing that clearly. But with this one, I believe there is a way forward. Over the period, one of the ways we have been creating the enabling environment for business to thrive is by providing the required incentives to attract businesses. And that is even the more reason why over the period we have provided incentive packages to businesses so that they'll be able to thrive. The Chief Minister was saying something about the whole issue of traveling. 3 weeks ago, I led a delegation to Malawi and Mozambique on disaster risk financing strategy. We left here to Ghana, Ghana to Ethiopia. We moved down South Africa before going to Malawi. This happened. And what was unpleasant enough, Malawi and Mozambique are neighbors, just like Sierra Leone, Liberia. But we have to leave Malawi, go down South Africa, before we coming back to Mozambique. It's like you want to go to Liberia, you move from Sierra Leone, you go to Ghana, and leave Ghana to come to Liberia. These are not cost effective. And this can only happen when we, as Africans, will unite together, will put programs like this. If it cannot go forward, then obviously we are nowhere. So the Ministry of Finance is committed to creating the enabling environment to make sure that the industry is thrive. A clear demonstration happened during the period of COVID. We had the responsibility to make sure that, knowing the revenue that's coming from that end and how the COVID seriously hits them, then we provided some incentive package to that industry, including tourism. So the Ministry of Finance is committed in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is commitment. We will be coming to the Ministry of Finance from time to time with whatever we think we need you to do to open up the market. But let me come to trade. Now, you know, we're doing all of this, but if we are unable to move, if we are unable to trade among ourselves, we would not be able to generate the needed traffic, and the jobs that we're talking about, the GDP growth that we're talking about, will not be attained in full. So from the Ministry of Trade point of view, what are you people doing to complement this brand new airport and the policies government is putting in place to ensure that Sierra Leone becomes a very competitive trade destination?
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of my minister, all protocols observed, Honorable Alpha Ibrahim Sise, who is unavoidably absent, and I'm stepping in his shoes to bring you good tidings on behalf of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. It is a great day today, and I must first of all applaud the Minister of Transport and the DG for a job well done. There is no way there is going to be SAATM without the involvement of the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and likewise the Ministry of Tourism. So I say the 3 T's work together: transport, trade, and tourism. And together we are going to be able to accomplish the goals that have been set forth by our President, His Excellency, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada. To answer the question coming from the chairperson in regards to the ministry's involvement, I'll start off with the SAATM. It is a great initiative. And the Ministry of Trade, we create, just like the Ministry of Finance mentioned, an enabling environment that will not only foster the global competition, but also to improve the trade in goods and services. We've heard from different presenters. They emphasize on the importance of the cost effectiveness. They also laid emphasis on the amount of time it's going to take for these goods to be transported, not only within the South African countries, but also global-wise. So from the ministry's perspective and the initiation of this new airport, it has put Sierra Leone on the map. Gone are the days wherein, take for example, somebody with a respiratory or cardiac problem, using that old airport, wherein you have to climb several stairs, and by the time you get to your seat, you're out of breath. But with this new airport, like your question mentioned, you know, you get to your seats with much ease. And the ambience that comes with this airport. And also the trade, you know, in goods that are also being enforced at the airport. And the rate at which this airport has put Sierra Leone on the map, you and I can just attest that we do need SAATM to take it from this point of having one of the best airports that I've seen, even living in third world country for so many years, to that of which SAATM is going to create to connect not only African countries, but globally. So with trade and industry, we are looking for the promotion in goods and services, wherein there's going to be that connection between us and the other African countries, whereby our SMEs, our investors that are so yearning for such opportunity, we say, yes, now we can transport our goods at a much faster rate, and there's going to be much increase in the economical growth and sustainability for not only themselves, but will increase our country. So on behalf of my minister, I know he could have done much better if he was here, but I'm saying that the Ministry of Trade and Industry fully endorsed SAATM. And I want to say it was just last week that we also have a secretariat from the AFCFTA that came. Madam Beatrice is somewhere in our midst. They are coming up with the Guided Trade Initiative. If Ministry of Transport are coming in with SAATM and the Ministry of Trade, we are bringing in AFCFTA Guided Trade Initiative. Trust me, Sierra Leone will be not only a better place, but will be envied by so many other countries. Thank you very much.
Great job. So we're looking at SAATM opening doors, and we're looking at AFCFTA coming in and facilitating trade between Sierra Leone and the rest of Africa and beyond. That is excellent, Madam. Before I come to internal affairs, let me go to tourism. Because we have seen Cabo Verde, about 37.5% of their GDP is generated from tourism. Sierra Leone is about 4%. We need to grow this. There are a number of headers, including the free movement of tourists, the packaging of attractions in the country, and the whole way of remodeling tourism to make it attractive. What is your ministry going to do in this new framework that we're discussing here? Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Tommy Anderson. I'm the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Tourism. Apologies on behalf of my Honorable Minister. She's also out of the country on official assignment. So she asked that I step in The deputy is also in an official assignment. But coming to your question, aviation and tourism are complements of a distribution. Aviation provides the landscape, the enabling environment, the infrastructure, then we fill the seats, get the numbers to bring them to Sierra Leone. And before telling you what our plans are in terms of packaging to attract people to our destination, I want to endorse SAATM, the Ministry of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, fully endorse SAATM because we can benefit. Now, these restrictions are an impediment to our tourism, like visa restrictions, open skies agreements. If these are removed, barriers are removed, we will get the numbers and we will provide the packages for our tourists to come. For example, right now I'm doing a research to do a cabinet paper, and in tandem with the Ministry of Aviation, we're coming to you for concurrence to remove visa restriction on African countries. These are one of the ways because the only way we can attract tourists is removing those visa restrictions, sign reciprocal agreements, then we present tour packages. Sierra Leone has the most authentic touristic destination offerings you can have. We don't package, it's natural. We have the best beaches, we have the best natural harbors, we have the best sanctuaries. You go to Takugama, you go to Tiwai Island, we have the best products you can offer. But the impediments for the numbers to come to visit Sierra Leone are these restrictions on movement by air. And you know that 15% of travel by air, tourists travel by air. And if they encounter these difficulties, I don't care what markets we have done. For example, we have signed agreements with European markets, we have representatives in Europe, we have representatives in North America. Quite recently, we are just from London for the Africa Trade Show to market Sierra Leone. For the numbers, the trade tour operators, what they tell us is the fees, ticket cost is expensive, and how can we come? Visa issues, and all these things. So as a Ministry of Tourism, we endorse SAATM so that we can remove all these barriers and we'll give them very good tour packages that will attract them to Sierra Leone.
Well, thank you. So now I come to internal affairs. Sir, internal affairs, we need to get ourselves coordinated and organized properly internally before our visitors come in, before our traders come in, before businesses come into the marine. Now, as the ministry responsible for ensuring that we are not only organized, but we are also safe and secure, what will your ministry be doing to ensure we have a coordinated approach?
Thank you very much for that great question. First of all, let me thank the Minister of Transport and the Division. And then let me also thank the African Civil Aviation Commission, as well as the Single Africa Aviation Transport Market. Thank you very much for inviting me. It is a very great occasion, and I don't treat it lightly at all. I appreciate this. The Ministry of Internal Affairs, we have a very great responsibility. If we don't make the country safe, tourists will not come, trade will not flow, nothing will happen. Everything will come to a standstill. Therefore, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, we have a great part to play to ensure that it works properly. We give visas. We have the immigration department. We give visas to people to enter the country. And we also authorize landing, especially for doubtful flights. We authorize landing. If we don't give you authority to land, you don't land. But I'm sure we'll make the place very safe, that the aviation industry will flow. We have more flights. Like somebody was saying, there was a time I was flying to Banjul. I went as far as Morocco, I spent the whole day in Morocco, and the next day I was flown to Banjul. That was a bit very stressful, you know, having the flight, a place that you are going for a very short conference. You have wasted all your time in traveling. By the time you get to your destination, you'll be weak and tired. Maybe you go even out of memory, you cannot even see exactly what you went for, and so on, you know. It's very traumatizing. But with this setup now, we are very, very much happy. And for us, we provide security for everybody in as much as you come to Sierra Leone, including the airport. If you go to the airport, we provide security. We ensure immigration do their work very well. The screen people, the screen groups coming into Sierra Leone. We make the airport very safe. We run the fire engines just to make the airport very safe so people will come in. And we also provide security whilst you are in Sierra Leone. So when you go, you'll be happy to come back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I come back to the Minister of Transport? And this time I want to know, is SG of Africa did indicate that what we want to see is an intra-bag map, free intra-bag Banjul Accord Group market, operating as fully SAATM market. How can you assist us attain this with your colleagues in the bag?
Thank you for your question. Maybe before going to that, I just want to comment on what my colleague said from what the PS said from the Ministry of Tourism. I want to reassure you that I will be fully on board to give you the support, and thanks for always being there. Like the Deputy Minister of Tourism said, it's the 3 T's, so we all work together and will continue to pull it through. Back to your question, you can see from the commitment of government, you have heard from all my colleagues here. They have all given their various commitments in ensuring that we support SAATM. And you have also seen, like I said earlier, we have gone 80%. And for us to even host this event here, that shows a very big commitment on the part of the government. So we will continue to do that. And going to other colleagues that you talked about within the bag, again, it comes back to, honestly, it comes back to our individual interactions, and then how we hope to engage other colleagues as well, because this is a very important project. If we have 37 countries that have signed the agreement, shows that it is very important. And my colleagues have mentioned the challenges that have been faced. The ambassador for SAATM also mentioned the challenges that have been faced. And we have also heard the prospects if SAATM is actually taken on board by all the 54 member states of Africa. So we have to continue to propagate these advantages whenever the need arises. When we go to these meetings, we have to continue to talk about SAATM, because it is alive, and if we have to match up, if we have to go beyond the 2.1 or 2% in the global air market, if we have to tap into all of those, then we have to ensure that we work together as a team in the bag and then work towards our success. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm told my time is running up, so I'll come back to my panel to ask you for what you think your ministry and as key stakeholders in Sierra Leone can do together with the AFCAP Secretariat and the aviation community to fully implement SAATM within the BAC. I'll come back to all of you on that question. But before then, we have two SAATM ambassadors in the room. And I don't want to end this discussion without hearing from them what the SAATM ambassadors expect from you and what their thoughts are with regards to SAATM implementation within the BAC group, how we can facilitate that. So I'll start with Ambassador Boyle.
Thank you very much. Salute the government of Sierra Leone, ably represented. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to what we're doing here is called socialization. We are socializing the idea of SAATM, trying to bring SAATM to life. SAATM is still a concept, but I see a great opportunity here. We work very, very hard to come to this point. When you go to Paris, what do you find in Paris? Huh? Eiffel Tower. Not only Eiffel Tower. Paris is the city of what? Of love. Aha. Paris is the city of love. Here, what is Freetown? The city of freedom. Madam Eski, I wonder why we did not start this thing of Freetown. There will be only one air show and it will be done. So, we have found freedom where it belongs, in Freetown. SAATM itself is a means to an end. It's not an end in itself. That is why it has been impossible to hold it down. It's a mean, what we're looking for in SAATM is that end result. It is not SAATM. The manifestation of SAATM is what we're looking for. And I listened to the effectively, the government of Sierra Leone as it relates to SAATM. They have spoken, and we have the concurrence, the order of the Mr. Her Excellency, Mr. President. Mr. Moderator, there is nothing more to do than for us to sign. And gentlemen and ladies, you will sign as witnesses to the events. To achieve that legal conclusion, you will sign as witnesses to that event that SAATM will take place. What is today's date? 29 July 2024. We need SAATM on all social media platforms. We need this event on all social media platforms. We need the images of this panel to be put on all media platforms for them, for the world to know these are the people that, on behalf of their government, gave life to SAATM. Very soon, other countries will be calling you, Madam SG, please visit us. We want to sign. SAATM will open the markets in the BAC states. BAC states will act as an example for other sub-regions, and they will enter into their own SAATM arrangements. And we will all meet in Addis under the auspices of AU to finalize the take-up of SAATM. So, gentlemen, honorable gentlemen and ladies, or ladies and gentlemen, thank you for what you have done for us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Captain Boyu, for those comments, very deep and thoughtful. Now, I come to our other ambassador, who is the ambassador for our industry groups. industry advocacy, and he is in the person of Mr. Shamshu Anjurin. And I want to hear from him what we need to be doing better of, less of, in order to fix SAATM.
Thank you, Victor. First of all, let me express my joy. I'm very happy to see government officials so coordinated and aligned on the strategy. I'm a proponent of aviation being at the heart of country strategy. And it seems that you are doing that, and this is very commendable, that all of you have spoken, and it's like you are speaking the same language. And I think that is something that Africa needs to leverage. That's one thing. Now, from the industry perspective, it's an opportunity that there is an opportunity to hear from the industry, that you hear from the service providers, because all the good policies will only bear fruit when the private sector, the industry see the opportunities and seize the opportunities. So I would like to know how are you encouraging the industry from Sierra Leone, from BAD, even from all Africa to take advantage of the infrastructure of the system that you are putting in place, so that they can operate freely, they can fly in, they can have passengers to carry, or traders to bring into the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So as you respond to that question of how do you encourage other African countries to actually come into Sierra Leone, and how do you encourage operators to take advantage of the infrastructure and the enabling environment you are creating here to really do business with Sierra Leone, you also give me your final thoughts. So may I start with Madam Minister. So your thoughts on that, and then how do you think we move forward from here?
Thank you very much, and many thanks to our two ambassadors. As a ministry, our ministry's sole aim is to create and develop policies and programs that will not only enable export, but also importation. We do have a president who believes that by year 2028, we're going to be able to increase the amount of items, food, goods that are going to be exported from our country. We know first on his 5 big changes to do with the feed salon. We can feed salon also with the SAATM initiative. We can feed salon also knowing that the Ministry of Trade and Industry is going to work effectively and continue to create policies and programs that will serve as an enabling environment to help not only the women, that 80% of our population are into trade, but also with the youth, knowing that we are yearning towards creating 500,000 jobs for our youth. So the overall statement on behalf of my minister again, Alpha Ibrahim Sise, is once again for SAATM to know that the Ministry of Trade and Industry will work assiduously with the Ministry of Transport and with the Director General and our team to make sure that SAATM will be fully implemented in our country, because we want to strengthen the economical growth of our country. And it is only through a good economy that Sierra Leone will be at the forefront, amongst other countries. That's the only way that the president's goals and ambitions for this country will be attained. So the ministry will continue. We already have a directorate that deals with policy and planning and implementation. So whatever guidelines that we've gone through today from the Secretariat and the Secretary General, those are things that will be put together to make sure we implement everything that will help create this environment for foster this big change that is yet to come to Sierra Leone. We want to see, you mentioned something about women in aviation. We want to see women in aviation and trade. You mentioned something about youth in aviation. We want to see the youth that embark on trading and aviation. So once again, like I mentioned earlier on, there is no Ministry of Transport without the traders. And we are looking forward to that environment. And I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity. And together, we are all going to make Sierra Leone a great and better nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Those are powerful concluding remarks on trade and industry. Honorable Minister for Transport, I'll come back to you. I'll come to you last because you are our host minister, and there's something I really want to get out of you. So I'll proceed to internal affairs. So internal affairs, how are you going to help us as aviation stakeholders? Not only now we've seen and heard about the strategy of Sierra Leone, but now with our neighbors. As I said in my opening remarks, it is okay that Sierra Leone is open and ready. But if the others are not, the value we will drive from Sierra Leone opening up will not be complete. We need the others. How can you help us in engagements to attain that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think you want to make me the Minister of Foreign Affairs very fast. It would have been a better position to answer this question. But however, we are responsible for the borders.
Yes.
Whether it's a land, sea, or air border, we are responsible. And we'll create that conducive environment for this program to thrive. We'll try all within our means. We'll make our country very safe. We are trying. And once more, I want to take this opportunity to even talk to my fellow Sierra Leoneans that we should make Sierra Leone very safe, that flights will come in, that the Ministry of Transport and Aviation will be able to do their work very well, and SAATM will be implemented fully. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So very soon all Africans can come into Sierra Leone, no visa, and we can come in and we are sure, or we get visa on arrival at a competitive rate.
Well, that's very, very clear. Like most African countries, you can now get visa on arrival. But like the Ministry of Tourism was saying, they are trying to see that Africans, we are visa free within Africa. That's very laudable because the last time I was going to Lusaka, I suffered some itch. I have to call to the African Union. They called the immigration in Lusaka. You know, it was a whole lot of tussle. I almost missed my flight. Wow. That's not good enough. We're trying to make Africa as peaceful as possible. We are trying to see that we don't take visa from one African country to the other. It's not good enough. Thank you very much.
And the unfortunate bit is that the non-Africans have to walk into Africa and out. And Africans are being restricted. It's very unfortunate. Sure. We need to deal with that issue. So now finance. All this we are talking about has to do with money. And you hold the wallet. And we'll need your help in ensuring that all of these things are achieved. But particularly with our neighbors, as I said, the same question to him, if we are open, if we make our destination affordable, but our neighbors are not as affordable as we are, we will not achieve much. So how can you help within the BAG states so that at least we can harmonize some of the issues? So for instance, taxes on tickets. How can we make the BAG states have, for instance, a sort of unified tax on the ticket that is affordable so that the ticket prices will come down? What can you do with your colleagues in the BAG region to help us achieve this?
Thank you very much. The process is already on course. I think what we need is conscious engagement. Within the sub-region, there are some monetary policies